Wait.
Hey, Chris. How's it going, buddy?
Hello everyone, welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. I'm your host, CHIMP. Now you can find almost anything on Google. You, me, your teachers, your parents, literally everything is out there. I mostly use Google to Google myself and find out what videos about me are popping up all over. But today, I went on a search for the scariest possible Google searches. And that's for today's list of top 10 scary Google searches. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell. And without further ado, let's go. Number 10, water bug birth. If you don't like bugs, then I would stay far away from this. Water bugs are these big, gross, beetle-looking creatures. They're around the size of the palm of your hand. The gross part about their birth is they carry all their young on their back. So you have this really gross looking water bug with hundreds of little gross baby water bugs peeling out of their back. I don't really have anything to compare it to other than just more bugs on bugs. So I decided to show you.
Extricate themselves from the chorion. Eventually, they are able to free their legs and begin to expand the upper halves of their bodies.
Number 9. Travis the Chimp 911 call. So if anyone thinks it's a good idea to get a wild animal as a pet, think again. The only person who can pull it off is Mike Tyson in his underwear with a tiger on a chain. Probably the biggest boss move of all time. For everyone else, you probably don't want to do this, especially not a chimp. They're super strong, very smart, and some of the cruelest animals around. Well, this one lady thought that Travis would make a great pet. She had him for a few years, and as he was getting older, he started getting more and more aggressive. One day she went out shopping with a friend and brought home Travis an Elmo doll. For whatever reason, this sent Travis into a rage. Elmo is probably like blackface for chimps. And he just went nuts and attacked her. He bit off one of her hands, he pulled out her eyes and disfigured her face. While all this was happening, her friend was on the phone with the police. Google it if you want to hear a very chilling phone conversation. Number 8. Frédéric Bourdin. Imagine if someone you thought you knew had completely falsified everything about them. Sounds like every Tinder date I've ever been on. Well, this guy has racked up over 500 false identities. Once he even convinced a family that he was their 14-year-old missing son and lived with them for 5 months. He was discovered after a private investigator that was hired by the family contacted the FBI. The FBI took a DNA sample and matched it to his real identity. This guy has sneak and illusion level 100. I think he was able to stay with this family for so long because they just really wanted their son back so bad they were willing to believe that it was him. When he was discovered, he was arrested and served 6 months in prison. Once released, he continued to impersonate people. He could be me right now. Number 7. Reborn dolls. You think regular dolls are creepy? Well, what about ones that are extremely lifelike, like down to the grooves in their skin? Reborn dolls are 3D printed dolls that are made to look like real babies. They can use real human hair, have lifelike glass eyes, and are even rumored to have some real fingernails and teeth. So gross. Why would you want this in your house? It's like having a real baby, but no one wants to hold it and it's not cute at all. The market for these dolls seems to be sinister as well. They're mostly marketed to women who have just lost a child or had a stillbirth. It gives them something to hold on. A product focused on grieving people seems pretty greasy, but maybe they're not the only people buying it. Maybe some people love the lifelike babies and use them as decoration. I bet they're great conversation starters at dinner parties. Ugh. Number 6. Cabin 28. Back in 1981, there were a couple of gruesome murders that took place in Keddie, California. Susan Sharp, her son, her daughter, and a family friend were all murdered while taking a family vacation at a campground. The bodies of Susan, her son, and the family friend were all discovered by Susan Sharp's other daughter when she returned from a sleepover. However, her other daughter's body was missing and unearthed 3 years later when it was found underneath another cabin at the campgrounds. The most unsettling part about this whole case is it was never solved. 2 suspects were brought in for questioning, but there wasn't enough evidence to press charges. These murders are so puzzling that they're said to have inspired the horror movie The Strangers. That movie is one of the creepiest things I've ever seen. It freaks me right out. Number 5. Bomb instructions. In your day-to-day, I'm sure the last thing you want is the FBI bursting through your door, putting a boot on the back of your head, and zip tying you and your whole family.
Put your hands up! Put your hands up!
Well, if this is something that you want to avoid, as I'm sure most of you would, then never Google bomb instructions. It's a surefire way to get your name posted on a watch list. There's not really any way you could talk your way out of it either. Like, I was Googling it for a friend, or I was just gonna make a little bit of bomb. Also, if you Google this, you're not only gonna let all the cops in your area know that you have way too much free time, but you're gonna get some horrible videos of bombings. It's a pretty solid way to ruin your weekend. Number 4, Bear by MARIAN ENGEL. There's a lot of different books out there. Most of them open your mind to the human condition so you can understand life from a different point of view. And for this book, MARIAN ENGEL wanted the reader to have the point of view of a lady who's so lonely she has sex with a bear. What? Bear was written in 1976 by author MARIAN ENGEL. It's about a librarian in Ontario who is so unloved that she starts a sexual relationship with a bear. It's basically 50 Shades of Grey for people who only wear flannel. What happened to cats? Aren't we supposed to get cats first? Bear is MARIAN's most popular book ever because it was so controversial, or because there's a bunch of people who are secretly bear bangers. Maybe bear lovers are a very untapped market. Number 3, Robert Bud Dwyer. Greasy politicians are nothing new. They probably go back as far as we've had politicians. Robert Dwyer isn't too far from the scandals we're used to having, but it's how this scandal ended that got him on this list. Robert Dwyer worked as the Pennsylvania treasurer from 1981 to 1987. During the time he worked for the state, there was a tax error which overtaxed Pennsylvania state workers. When this was discovered, it was up to him to hire a firm to do the proper calculations to find out exactly how much money needed to be returned to the people. Not a huge deal. People make mistakes. The contract to correct this accounting error was worth $4.6 million. Now you can imagine that there was a lot of competition for something like this. The competition would have been fierce. So fierce that one accounting firm bribed old Bobby Dwyer with $300,000 for the contract. Well, this obviously leaked and Robert was arrested. He was charged with perjury, mail fraud, conspiracy, racketeering, and a bunch of other stuff with potentially 55 years in prison. After this, he called a press conference. Everyone thought he was just going to do this to resign. But instead, he read a 21-page letter about the justice system, pulled out a revolver, and committed suicide on live television. So I would not Google him. Number 2, the 4chan killer. Next we go to the happiest place on earth. Disneyland? No, 4chan! I've said this before, this is a joke. 4chan is definitely not the happiest place on earth, and here's some proof. Back in August of 2015, an anonymous user posted on 4chan stating that he had taken the lives of many women, and if people could guess the names of these women, he would upload photos of them. He said he had pictures of all his victims before and after. He wanted to play a game with the 4chan community. The goal of the game: if people could guess all the women, he would unveil the whereabouts of a body he hid in 1999. Then he posted a picture of a woman who went missing in Las Vegas, stating that this was a free one. After a few posts, the 4chan killer uploaded another picture of a missing woman. Then the FBI was contacted. The 4chan killer then disappeared and resurfaced a few months later with 2 pictures of a man, one with the caption "dying, dying," and the other with the caption "dead." This mystery was never solved. Number 1, NIKKI CATSOURAS. In 2006, the 18-year-old NIKKI CATSOURAS was involved in a high-speed car chase. She lost control of the vehicle and crashed going more than 100 miles per hour. She was killed immediately upon impact. The coroner wouldn't let the parents see the body because it was too disturbing, but somehow images from the crash got leaked onto the internet. Then pictures started getting sent to the deceased girl's mourning family. Someone even made a fake NIKKI CATSOURAS MySpace page, and it was just links to a bunch of the horrifying pictures from the crash. What had happened was 2 of the highway patrolmen in charge of photographing the crime scenes uploaded the pictures online. The family later sued the dispatch supervisors and got a settlement of $2.6 million. At least some justice was served. Alright everyone, that's our list. Make sure you write in the comments which ones you think were your favorites and which ones you think should have been added to the list. Like always, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the little notification bell, and I've been CHIMP. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I think for the next little while I'm going to keep Safe Search on. Bye!